Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Birds TV with Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan. Of course, we're excited to bring back a friend of ITB. He did some appearances with us last year during our live shows in Mayfair. He is none other than former Eagles offensive lineman Todd Herremans. What's going on, Todd? Thanks for joining us again.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Just chilling up here in the Great North.
Yeah, nice. You're back in the home state of Michigan, I see.
Yep. We're up here for a little vacation.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Well, taking the nice weather. Thanks, dude.
Awesome.
Nice little tan going.
Well, you're missing the humidity back here, man. It is brutal.
I heard it's been pretty warm.
Yeah, very hot.
Yeah. But look, you look great. We're happy to have you on. And Todd, we always appreciate your insight, but we really wanted to bring you on really soon this week because of Jason Peters re-signing. He's going to play right guard. At least that's the initial diagnosis here. You are someone, if people have forgotten, who has made not only the transition from guard to tackle, but you've also gone from the left side to the right side. So we got a lot to talk about here. You probably are in the best position to relate to what Jason's about to go through. And I'll start by asking you, I mean, we realize here, this is something Adam and I and everybody in the NFL is talking about, is it's not just that he's transitioning to a position he's never played, but we have no idea how many reps, how many real 11-on-11s. We have no idea what training camp's going to look like, and he didn't have any spring camps. So what kind of challenges are facing him normally and on top of with this altered training camp?
Well, see, we're talking about Jason Peters, so we are talking about a different person than most people. When he plays on the left side, and he's played left tackle for so long, it's gonna feel weird for him, at the very beginning, switching his stance, but that's just a matter of getting the reps and stuff. But the thing that I feel like benefits Jason is he's always played very balanced with his feet. He's never really truly had, I guess, like a kick stagger. Like he kind of like hops out and attacks guys and plays like almost like a defensive player in basketball. He gets out, he gets square, and he just gets them trapped in front of him, rather than you see a lot of tackles like Lane in particular who kicks back to a spot. Remember Trey and Juan would always talk about, hey, get to the spot, beat him to the spot. So there's this junction point back there that a lot of tackles just set to meet the defensive end. And what Jason would do is kind of hop out like Howard Mudd taught, like hop out and a little more aggressive. He's so quick and explosive that he can get there and be in balance to react any way that the defender wants to go. Well, why I'm going into detail on that is he's not really going to have – the only thing that's going to be weird for him, I feel like, is going to be his stance. Well, not the only thing. His stance. He's just going to have to flip his feet, and that's going to feel a little awkward at first, especially probably trying to open up to go to the left for run game and stuff like that. But I think the other biggest thing that he'll have to focus on is where he carries his weight, and that's why I think it's not going to be that big of a deal for him because he's so balanced. But when you would switch the sides, when I would switch sides, if I played on the left side for so long, you hold your weight inside, to the right. And so now you flip over to the right side and you're holding your weight to the right, and you get tossed like really easy and beat on an inside move. So that's something he's going to have to really focus on is carrying his weight on his inside. And then also just working in a smaller area, which I think that he'll benefit from that because he's so dang quick still, But speaking of right guards, you guys see Brandon Brooks?
Jesus. Oh my God! What? Wow! He looks like Mr. Olympia.
Look like Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Right. Crazy.
But I was actually excited to see them bring Jason back. I think that for the last couple of years, I've always been joking around about him bumping inside and playing guard and catching like another 5 years on his career, because I feel like it won't be as taxing on his body. And he's just built perfect to play inside his body type, I feel like. But there's going to obviously be a learning curve, but he's a vet. And I think that he always is one of those guys that stays after practice and puts in the extra work and stuff. And so that'll be something that probably will benefit him this year more than it has in years past.
So Todd, correct me if I'm wrong. I could have sworn you told me years ago that when you moved to guard, you moved to left guard in 06. Didn't they tell you to put weight on? Or correct me if I'm wrong. I could have sworn they did that. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, that was when Juan was coaching. Juan liked really big, heavy guys inside. He would always say mass kicks ass. That was like his little that was his little equation. But so yeah, my first year into guard, I moved inside, and if you looked around the league, then all the guards were big guys, and I always thought that I was a fairly athletic tackle. But when they moved me inside the guard, I had it ingrained in my head. And Juan also told me, kind of like, would mention some things about, hey, Todd, you got to get your weight up now. And so then I just kind of went on an eating frenzy and got fat right away. Because it's the easiest way to put weight on fast is fast food.
That's what happened to me too, by the way. That's why I look like this to do this job.
I thought that was a camera lens.
Nope, it's real.
So Todd, what was the heaviest, by the way, that you played? Did you get over 340?
Yeah, the most I ever saw on the scale was 349.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my second year.
Oh, that's when you played left guard, right, in 06?
Yeah, that's when I first bumped me down inside in 06. Yep.
Right. So when you
and then
oh, go ahead, Todd.
No, and then I just realized after playing that you can't quite get up to the linebackers when you're heavy and slow. So you with the position and just realizing, I think I also got a lot stronger as I played inside than when I first started inside. I think that also allowed me to maybe drop some of the weight and play at a lighter because I was stronger than I was.
You moved to right tackle, I think, in 2011, and if I'm correct, it's because of the injuries that Sean Andrews was going through with his back. I think he was supposed to move to right tackle, and then you guys kind of had to shuffle around, if that's what I remember correctly.
Yeah, I remember training camp. It was when Evan first got here.
Oh, Evan Mathis. Wow. Yeah.
It was when Evan first got here. I think Ryan Harris was here, had some issues going on with his back.
That's right. Notre Dame.
And he's in the media now. Wow. Ryan Harris was here? Why don't I remember that? Wow.
I do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Ryan's actually doing great out there in Colorado.
He's dropped a lot of weight, by the way. Talk about a guy who's slimmed down.
Slim,
wow.
right?
Yeah. It looks good. Good for him. Yeah. You're ready to have back problems. So
he seems like he really enjoys what he's doing too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that year it was just a bunch of people getting hurt over there, and I just asked Andy if he wanted me to play, and Evan was like, you should just go play right tackle, and let me play guard, and because I really don't play anything other than left guard, and I was like, all right, well I can play tackle, So then that's kind of, we just did the switcheroo, and Evan settled in there, and then I think that's when they ended up drafting Danny Watkins.
In 11,
we're trying to keep this positive here, Todd.
Oh my!
But I guess what I was getting at is that you had the ability to have your spring camps, and you had played tackle before, albeit left tackle with the Eagles, and you had a lot of adjustment time. And so I wonder about the lack of adjustment time for Jason. And then on top of that, it's interesting because you said you felt it would be less taxing on his body, but we've spoken with Trey Thomas, and he feels that moving to guard is more taxing because you're facing a larger caliber lineman and you have less space and your collisions are more head on. So, everybody's got a different insight on it, but.
Right. I mean, I understand that, but I think less taxing on his body. Like he doesn't have to move as much. When you start to lose a step, when you get a little older, you don't have to cover as much ground in as little a time when you move inside. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what I mean. Like he's probably going to be, I don't know. I think he's going to be really effective inside. Just, I think he could play probably quite a few more years, but it is the player that you're playing is a more physical player. Like they're bigger guys, a lot more bull rushes. But at the same time, they're not getting a big running start on you. So I imagine he's probably going to put hands on guys as soon as the ball is snapped. He's going to be right there able to grab them as soon as the ball is snapped. I think it'll translate well for him.
So when you moved to guard in '06, and then we're talking left guard.
Yeah.
What did you have to learn? Because you're 6'6" and you were long, and then to move inside. A lot of tall guys don't do quite as well at playing inside, but you did. What were some of those challenges? You mentioned Peters has to use his hands, but what were some of the things that you had to take on? I guess Juan Castillo obviously was the one who taught you.
Yeah, just playing low. I was a tall guy, so I had to play lower. Otherwise, I was just going to always get pushed back. And one thing that I actually benefited me as a tackle, supposedly I had shorter arms.
Huh.
But as a guard, I had long arms. So it would allow me to, I guess, as soon as the ball was snapped, get my hands on guys right away if I was up close to the ball, and not really let them have time to build steam or create a move or a counter on me or something like that. But one thing that I guess I forget is I was always the swing tackle. I was always the backup tackle my entire career on both sides. So that was a way that they were able to not dress an extra tackle. So Juan was always slick about getting me extra reps at tackle. I'd always, towards the end of the week, throw me in at left tackle, throw me in at right tackle, either on the look team or whatever. So, that was always something that probably made it a lot easier for me to jumble around. There was even a few times in the games where I played left guard and then played a few plays at left tackle and then had to jump over and play right tackle for a few plays and then settle back in at right guard or left guard, So, but I think that, there are going to be he's played left tackle for how many years? 15 years?
Something God, probably more than that. Yeah. But a ton, obviously. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain things that he hasn't even had to think about, the running the ball to the left, he's always been on the lead. And now he's going to be like having to get on someone's hip. It's going to the things are going to sound different in the huddle. He's going to have to flip it all in his head. So, there are some things that are ingrained in his head for playing the same position for 15 years, but that's just a matter of reps and trying to get it done. And I don't want to minimize it or make it sound simple, like, oh yeah, piece of cake. But, Jason's an athletic freak. And I think that, if he puts the time in and gets the reps down, he'll be fine.
So I'm wondering schematically, Todd, that one of the things that we've been talking about a lot this offseason is some changes that may come to the Eagles offense from a run standpoint, because they brought in Rich Scangarello, who is a Kyle Shanahan disciple. And you watch a Shanahan run scheme, there's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of guards kicking out one way and the run might be the other way, a lot of motion. And is that something that you think that they can do right away with Jason, who's really not been in that kind of position, not just playing guard, but also all the pulling and trapping that may go with that? Are they able to just accomplish that right off the bat, you think, or is it a wait and see period?
I think, they've always had Jason running out, getting in space, wide receiver screens, quick tosses, stuff like that. Our sprint draw that we used to run when Howard was here that we were so successful with, Jason was always fine, but one of the first guys downfield. So I think that, keep him moving while you can, don't get him set into being inside and just locked in a box, keep him. That's another thing that you're adding over. I mean, Brandon is a great athlete too, but Jason is you're not taking any step off over there, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching him and Lane play together too, because I know how well they get along, and I think that it'll be really fun watching them play.
Todd, you were a player coming out of lockout 9 years ago. Do you remember what that camp was like? Because you had no off-season practices. The rookies didn't have a playbook. Do you remember what the preseason was like? And actually, free agency was right against training camp. It was an odd year, but do you remember what that was like? And how do you think the players will do, especially the rookies, for not having an off season, and also not having preseason games?
I mean, it's tough. Do we even know like what the season is going to look like at this point?
Well, we know we believe we're going to have one. There will be no preseason. Yeah. The question is, right now, how in the world for younger players, how could they be ready to go when they haven't been on the field? All you could get, right, as a player is practices. And quite frankly, you've been through this as a player. With the CBA, you can't work the guys very hard. So my question would be,
Right.
how ready could these guys be without an off season and not really practicing a lot?
That's going to be really tough. Even when you get an off season and all training camp and preseason, you're it's still hard for guys to catch up and make that leap. So I think that guys are going to be forced to not. I guess they're not going to be forced. They're just not going to be able to be thrown in so quickly. If they are, you're going to see
a ramp up
period.
Yeah, they have a ramp up period for I think like 2 weeks or something that they're working on. But that would play into what you're saying. Yeah.
These rookies, I mean, I feel bad for them to a point because the shortened beginning of everything, the learning curve that they're going to have to deal with, it's not very forgiving, especially if you start losing a couple games. And if you're a high pick, you're expected to produce right away. I mean, some quarterbacks are lucky to sit back and learn a system or not have the pressure of the whole franchise on them right away. But, most other positions, you better get your ass on the field and play because, they're spending a lot of money on you. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all plays out too.
One thing that's interesting, Todd, that might benefit Jason, or at least not add to his plate, is when the Eagles are on the road this year, the silent count may not have to come into play because there's no fans in the stadium. And isn't it usually the right guard that kind of sets the line or taps the center to let him know that it's time to snap the ball? I mean, that would probably be another thing that Jason would have
never thought about that. Wow.
Kind of adjust to.
Wow.
Yeah. So our opposing stadium is going to be able to play crowd noise.
Well, they might have, some stadiums might have crowds, Todd, but they're going to be small. But that's a great question. I don't know. How would you that's a great question, Geoff. How would you handle that? I guess. So basically, Todd, as a player, did that bother you? What was crowd noise like when you were on the road?
It depended. I mean, I think that a lot of times
you loved the Superdome, didn't you?
Oh God. I think that a lot of times you would just practice the silent count and we would always just be on the silent count on the road, whether it was loud or not. And then if it was like quiet, then we'd be like, all right, let's just go cadence, but as an offensive lineman, I actually prefer the silent count because I felt like we were in control of when the ball was going to be snapped. And when you're on the quarterback's cadence, he can hold his cadence, pause in the middle of it, try to cut an audible or anything like that. So, but when our center had his head bob or whatever, when our center would have his head bob, like that was all pretty rhythmic and whether it was on 1, 2, quick, I felt like we were always able to get a good jump on the ball when we were in silent count.
Todd, I imagine that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but that is a whole nother, dynamic to right guard. Maybe they might have the left guard do it. It doesn't have to be the right guard. It's basically whoever's comfortable, turning around and playing blind for a couple snaps, I guess.
I imagine that a big year for you, Todd, was the big time period in your career was the offseason from your rookie year to your second year. I mean, you went from a backup to a starter at left guard. Andre Dillard is a guy who is about to do that similarly, starting at left tackle, but again, with no offseason, no real work with coaches. And as Adam mentioned, the first 2 or 3 weeks of camp are going to be basically like strength training. It's not even going to be real, drilling. So, what should be reasonable to expect from Andre Dillard at this point?
Well, I mean, obviously they felt strong enough in Andre Dillard to let JP test the market. But, saying that, getting JP back is only a bonus in that aspect of also being able to throw him at left tackle if things aren't panning out. But the way that I'm looking at it is more of a bonus is Jason's been like a mentor to Dillard since he's been drafted, spending the extra time with him after practice, working on sets, kind of giving him the ins and outs of the game. So I think that they have a pretty solid relationship, and that's going to be able to continue. And maybe having Jason in the room, on the line, in the huddle with him is going to give him a little bit more comfort of playing and a little more confidence on the field too.
When we talk about Peters at 38 years old, most guys have retired. by then, obviously, well before that. How in the world has he been able to play so long and play so well?
I don't know. You would think some of it has to do with genetics. I mean, some of it has to do with how well you take care of yourself. But a lot of it really just has to do with luck. I mean, first of all, you have to be an elite level player to be able to play, 15 years of anything on a professional level. But beyond that, you have to have a shit ton of luck to be able to make it through. And he hasn't necessarily been unscathed, but he's had surgeries and he's rehabbed hard and been able to come back from all of his surgeries and still play at a high level. So, I think that probably is one of the biggest factors, is that he's been able to recover. And I don't know what it is that he's doing to recover so well, but God bless him.
Do you think
I know
that
how I feel when I wake up in the morning?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think that the power running game that the Eagles occasionally like to show once in a while can really be a benefit this year? I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, you have just a big bruising athletic right guard there in Peters and Jason Kelsey at center, and obviously Lane Johnson at right tackle. I mean, that's at least for the right side of the line, that's pretty big there. I mean, I know they like to run a lot of the outside zone, but I feel like inside power, inside zone could be a real weapon for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to run outside zone to the left there and Dillard can get outside and reach somebody, that whole backside is just going to collapse. So there's going to be excellent opportunities for cutbacks upfield. I do imagine seeing with Kelsey and Jason and Lane all together over there, just seeing some crazy surge. That was one of the great things about having Jason at tackle, was he never really dented the end, like gave up much ground. And a lot of times in the NFL, your tackle either stalemates or has to give up some ground, and it's a soft edge on the front and Jason would just demolish that end and just kind of make it a shorter corner for the back. So I would imagine that'll apply somewhere on the backside or somewhere on the inside zone, probably moving either the shade or the 3 technique out of there. I'm excited to see it. Also see how quickly he gets up on backers if someone tries running an odd front against him, and just watching him toss, because I know he loves going up to linebacker level and he just kind of tosses guys around like they're little rag dolls sometimes.
Todd, Todd, when you,
I know I sound like a Jason Peters fanboy, but I'm kind of excited to see him play.
It's awesome. 30. I mean, it's what he's trying to do here is, I don't know of a player from another team that's been able to do this. Playing tackle for 15 years, moving another, not only another position, as we talked about, another side. But one thing I do want to ask you were talking about how does Peters do it. You're big into the recovery mode. You with your company Body Check. Tell our listeners about your company Body Check Wellness.
Oh, so Body Check Wellness is a full spectrum hemp derived CBD brand, and we're actually breaking into the pet market too now. So we have some pet treats. Yep, we got nice doggy treats. We got massage lotions, tinctures, capsules. We also are unveiling an entirely new mushroom line where we have a bunch of supplemental mushroom blends for to achieve different things you're trying to get done. Nice. But so I need to get I would say I need to get Jason on some Body Check, but he seems to be doing all right with what he's doing. Maybe we can make it a 20-year run for him.
How's it helped you, by the way?
How's it helped me?
Yeah, how's it help you?
I just feel like I have a better quality of life. I don't have to lean on taking so many pills. I mean, I do take some capsules of my product. So I don't want to demonize pills, but I don't have to take any prescription pills anymore. And I was just running through quite a few of them for the time when I first finished up. But yeah, I mean, it seems to help. A lot of people are having a lot of success with it, replacing anti-inflammatories or anti-anxiety medicine. Helps with some sleep cycles too, stuff like that. So if anybody wants to check it out, bodycheckwellness.com, and that's BODYCHEK wellness.com.
Awesome.
Shameless plug.
No. It's not shameless at all. That's why we bring you in.
I take it, by the way. I've taken it. The latest one is the blueberry. I take the drops.
Yeah.
It definitely, Todd. It is. It helps me concentrate. It gives me a little bit of an even keel. And it's, by the way, it's organic, it's vegan, it's really good. I got to tell you, I've been very impressed when I was talking to your partners, and I figured, I want to try it to see if it could help me concentrate a little bit. Because the thing that I struggle with, and I know we all do it, Geoff and I work together a lot. In the middle of the day, Todd, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. This thing gives me a little bit of a kick. It's not like caffeine, but it gives me just enough to keep going. That's the thing I get out of it.
That's awesome.
I thought you were going to say it's less anxiety of working with me.
No, not as far as you know.
Maybe that's what it is.
It might be.
Maybe you don't feel so drained down by anxiety anymore.
It helps, man. It absolutely helps.
But
I agree.
Before we get you out of here, I want to go back to one thing. It's funny because you said it. You said, I feel you sound like a Jason Peters fan here. And I to be honest, when the Eagles
I am a Jason Peters
you
fan.
are. Sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Well, how can you not be a fan of a Hall of Famer you play with?
Absolutely. I know though that when the Eagles signed him, right, Adam and I were a little bit skeptical, given all the things we talk about, lack of preparation, first time, left to right, and all of that. But it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you'd be surprised if this didn't work out well for Jason and the Eagles. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. That's fair.
A little pause there.
I would be surprised, but like I said, I didn't want to minimize the challenge that he has at hand earlier, because, it's something I did my whole career, but I was doing it my whole career. It wasn't something I was asked to do after I played an entire career and then some. You know what I mean? Right. So sorry, I got to take my garbage out. Keep having my alarm go off.
No problem.
So yeah, I would have a hard time thinking that they're going to have an issue with it. I think he's going to be successful. Didn't Larry Allen do this? But he switched positions too. He was a Pro Bowler in both tackle and guard.
Well, guard, I know it. Yeah, did he play? Yeah, I guess. Did he play left? Did he play left tackle?
I think he played left tackle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
He might not have played on the right side too, but it might have both been on the left.
Okay.
So. But anyway, yeah, I would be surprised if it didn't work out. But like I said, it is. And Trey was right. There's some tough things going on. There's definitely some nuances to the guard position. But I think that Jason can handle him. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
Now, if Adam or I would have told you 10 years ago that your teammate, John Runyon, was going to be in charge of handing out fines for on-field actions, right? For an officiating office, you would say to me what?
I would have said nothing surprises me because when I played Merton Hanks was handing them out.
That's a good point.
That's right.
That's a great point.
But Runyon was biting Strahan's ankle. Come on, man. You know that.
I know. I think that there's probably going to be a maximum, an all-time low of fines handed out this year. If anything, they'll probably be uniform fines.
That's what John does. Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, you know what they say. It takes one to know one, right?
Right. Exactly. All right.
Look, Todd, thanks so much. Go take your garbage out. Please enjoy your vacation there in Michigan. It looks beautiful. We're jealous of you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We really, really appreciate you coming on and providing the insight. Thanks a lot, man.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
You got it. And of course, you'll probably be back with us at some time during the season as we are evaluating the Eagles' offensive line at some point. So we'll
anytime.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just give me a shout, guys.
You got it. That'll do it for this edition of Inside the Birds TV. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. You can find his work on his YouTube channel, Sports Talk with Broads, and catch the latest Inside the Birds podcast on any podcast platform that you listen to. Check out InsideTheBirds.com for our latest Eagles coverage on our website. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next episode of ITB TV.